Welcome to the It Matters podcast. I'm your host, Walter Perez, and let's dive in as we help you grow your mindset and elevate your leadership. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the It Matters podcast. Thanks for joining me on another episode. As always, I'm committed to bringing you content and great people on this podcast that will impact your life, will inspire you, will give you insight and wisdom that you can take and apply to your leadership arena and lead well. And so I really appreciate the response and the commitments to you listening to these episodes. And so please continue to share and add comments and let us know what you think. And on that note, I wanted to bring you a special episode today, an episode where I get to answer some of your questions. In previous episodes, I asked you to submit them, and some of you did, and so thank you for that. And I wanted to make sure that I answered a few of them today. And so we are going to do future episodes where I'll answer some more questions, but for today, why don't we get right into it? So the first question comes from Mike Reisinger. He's actually a good friend of mine who has ventured into being an entrepreneur and starting his own business. And he had a great question that I thought was worth bringing up on the episode and answering. And it was this: where do you find motivation to put one foot in front of the other when it seems everything you try is failing? So this is an amazing question, and I think it'll hit the heart on all of us here, because all of us have probably failed in one shape or form, and we will probably fail again. And what I love about this question is that motivation is something that we're always trying to attract or trying to apply into our lives, because it's what keeps us going, and it could potentially build momentum for us in our business or in whatever we're doing. And so this is one thought that I want to give to you, Mike, and anybody else who needs to hear this, is that I'm not going to be able to really teach you how to get motivated, because motivation is a little bit different for everybody. Depending on your personality and how you think and how you work, it'll work a little different. But you do need to figure out those things that give you life. You need to figure out those things that inspire you. Sometimes that comes from rest. Sometimes that comes from people. That comes from listening to audio, podcast, or reading a book. You got to kind of figure out those things that inspire you and motivate you, and you got to have that toolbox so you know where to go and find them. This is the thing, though. Motivation needs to happen daily. And I'm reminded of that quote from Zig Ziglar, who was an amazing leader and a motivational speaker. And he said this: people often say motivation doesn't last. Neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. See, you just can't go listen to one podcast for the week and expect that to last the whole time, or read a book one time and don't pick up another book for months, or attend a conference and you didn't really take notes, or you didn't really take it in, and then you don't attend them again. Like, you have to do these different things that keep you in the right mindset, because the reality is that failure plays mind games with us. And the worst thing that can happen is when we start internalizing it and we start letting it win the battle, thinking that, oh, my failures do define me. Failures do determine where my future is going to go. It's not true. It's not true. And Mike, you asked that question. It says, when it seems that everything you try is failing, it seems like it. Because the reality is that not everything you're doing is failing. And so I want to encourage you to realize that there's some things that are not working out, but that doesn't mean that everything's not working out. Another thought here is that you need to understand your why. You need to keep your dream. You have to keep it in front of you. You got to put it up on your walls. You have to remember why you started in the first place. What was the problem you were trying to solve? What was the solution you were bringing to the marketplace? A fair question sometimes is like, well, is the market needing that thing that I'm trying to provide? And maybe they do, but you just need to present it a little different. Maybe you need to come at it from a different angle. So I need to encourage you to not forget your why. And you need to have that as a reminder on a consistent basis, because if there's one big motivator that will keep you going, is remembering why you started. And if that wasn't very clear for you, then I want to encourage you to take some time to actually make that clear so then you have a clear understanding of where you're going. Also, remember that life moves in seasons. So you might be experiencing some failure or some trips, but uh, failure doesn't have to be fatal. Failure sometimes are just a little speed bumps along the way, and so you might be in a season where this is a learning time, and you're learning how to pivot and experience this, and how to tweak things. But there's other seasons that are coming where you're going to be able to flourish and win, and so allow yourself to utilize this season to make you better so then you can show up in the next season and kick butt. And so the other thing that I wanted to definitely hit home for all of you out there, this is the one of the most important points that I can say about failure. Do not let failure give you an identity. Like, you do not identify with failure in any way. Failure is something that has happened to you, something that you potentially did, but it's not who you are. And that is ultra important, because that's when failure starts getting to us, is because we're letting it speak to us and say, hey, you are the failure. You're the one that's not good enough. You can't do anything. And then we get brings past into the present saying, remember this, remember that. This is the fact. That's not true. There might have things that have happened in your life, but if you're going to learn from them, realize that, hey, there's things that you can change and tweak that will allow you to propel forward. But you're not the failure. You have value, you have purpose, you have things that have been given to you so you can succeed. Now maybe the path you're taking is not the right one, or the tools that you're using could be changed, but that doesn't mean that you're the failure. And I want to make sure I hit that home, because it's super important that you understand that you split the difference on that there's a difference between what you've done and who you are. And so please don't internalize that. And I got to tell you, when it comes to failure, do not do it alone. There's so many leaders out there or entrepreneurs that'll say it's lonely at the top. Hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be lonely. And that's one of the missions that I have, to make sure that I inspire you to understand that community is ultra important. Get people around you. They don't even have to be in the same industry to be able to support you, impact you, and inspire you. Make sure you're not doing this journey alone, of whether it's entrepreneurship or leadership in whatever way. Make sure you're getting in a community that you can share, that you can walk with people in their struggles and in their wins, and allow yourself to celebrate the victories within the failures that are happening, but know that it comes as a package. And when you walk with other people, man, you're gonna learn. They're gonna encourage you. They're gonna point things out, and we're all gonna win together. And so I just wanted to make sure that you get that, because it's ultra important to understand that failure is not fatal, and there's just a few things that we might have to tweak along the way, but we all have it in us to be able to break through that. And so I hope that encourages you, Mike, because you have it in you. Don't quit. Keep going. Just don't let this mind game win over you, because you're not a failure. You're not a failure. You're just experiencing failure in different capacities. So keep going, bro. And I think that you're gonna win, and you're gonna learn so much in this process. I hope that encourages you. There's another question that has come in, and I think it kind of lines up with what I just talked about. And this one came from Monty from over at Briar Gates Promotions. Briar Gates Promotion is not a stranger to the Leader Co. We have done work together, and so I'm excited for what those guys are doing over there. And check them out if you haven't yet. But this is the question that Monty shot over, and this is: what is one of the biggest obstacles you've experienced in a leadership role, and how did you address it? Did you overcome it? If you could go back and change it, would you? Why, or why not? Wow, like that's solid. I mean, I just kind of gave you a perspective on failure, but to maybe look inwards to me on what I've done with that. Listen, I've had a lot of different leadership roles. I've done leadership in sports, I've done leadership in boards, in organizations, in my own business, and I continue to do that. I've been paid to be a leader. I've also volunteered in leadership. there's a lot that I can share, and I can probably share tons of obstacles that I've experienced. But there's one that comes to mind that I think has been consistent. There's been a common denominator in everything I've done, and I don't want you to miss this. One of the biggest obstacles that I have experienced on an ongoing basis is people. Now, some of you are probably going, "What? Like people?" But I need to work with people, and I need to lead them and all that. So, should we eliminate them? Would that make my leadership journey better? Not at all, not at all. But this is the thing about leadership. Leadership is about leading others, about people. It involves people. That's at the heart of leadership. So, no, we cannot ignore them. We cannot eliminate them. But this is the neat thing about it. Whether sometimes leaders, people can be the obstacle in our leadership, but they can also be the answer and the solution. And so, how we address that, how we think about that is ultra important as well. And so, this is what I got to say about this. In my journey, people have been the obstacle, but they also have been the solution. A couple of ways that I've addressed this, and one thing that I've noticed that takes leaders down is that we make emotional decisions. When people are being a challenge, when people are causing problems in our organizations or in whatever we do, more times than not, they're making emotional decisions or they're acting on emotional things that circumstances that have taken place. And that's one of the worst things because we need to learn as leaders to be character driven and principle driven. We need to know that sometimes the way people are acting is circumstantial. There's a lot of things going on. There can be things going on in their homes, at work, and business, and whatever. We don't know the full picture of what people are going through, and not everybody knows how to handle challenges. And so sometimes that comes out and they become a hard individual to lead. And so if we can understand that a little bit, I think it'll help us on the leadership journey in a huge way. So I have learned to understand and maybe see it from their perspective a little bit. The other thing is that I'm not reacting emotionally, that I'm not meeting them at that frequency or at that level. I am taking what I'm receiving and going, well, I know better. And just because they're being unkind to me doesn't mean that I need to be unkind to them. Just because they yelled at me doesn't mean I have to yell back at them. Now, is that always easy to do? Not at all. I have my fair mistakes of that where I've done it wrong, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I know that there's been things in my past where I've led badly, where I could have handled an individual very differently, and what I'm the reason I'm bringing this up is because people matter, especially in our leadership journey and all of our businesses. People do matter, and so I want you to realize that, and so. Which kind of brings me to a second point of how I've dealt with these obstacles is that I want to add value to people. I want to add value to people, and one of the ways that I do that is by growing me. So growing me is another way to avoid this obstacle of people, because if we learn how to communicate better, we learn how to listen better. If we learn how to lead and plan and manage, and we learn how to connect, and we become better. When we become better, we can add value, we can be more valuable, and we can spread that value out. And so there's a level of, and then we understand people, to my first point, where we want to see it from their perspective, and we realize that, hey, that sometimes people are making emotional decisions, they're making circumstantial decisions. We have to see it in their perspective and their point of view. But we need to commit to growing, because the more you grow, I assure you, you're going to become more of a patient person. You're going to love people more. You're going to become more kind. You're going to become more grateful. You're going to be more gentle with people. You're gonna actually want to problem solve and figure out how to add value to people in their brokenness or in their challenges. And so personal development has to be at one of the top of the things that I have done to learn how to deal with obstacles, because it affects the way I think. Back to the way of talking about failure before, right? Is we play these mind games, but when we learn to grow, we learn to get better, when we add value to ourselves, when we love ourselves and know that, hey, there I am worthy and I am able and capable and I have so much potential and I'm on purpose. Man, it's incredible how that ripples out. It's incredible how that passes on. You cannot hold it in. You cannot hold it in. And please take it for me for 20 plus years of leadership, of just working in different arenas and different from different perspectives. That has to be a key thing that you need to focus on. So, uh, so overcoming all these things is an ongoing thing, though. It's not a one-time thing. That's the thing about growing. That's the thing uh, about having people in your lives. Is you need to have this realization that it's an ongoing thing. You're always going to grow, so you can't. It's not a one-time thing. Again, back to the failure point. Like you don't just pick up a book one time, or you attend a conference one time, or listen to a podcast one time. Like you have to create habits in your life, and you have to train, and you've got to create practices in your life that then become part of you, that become who you are. And so when you're doing that, that's when you see the impact. And then uh and then you realize that people are in different seasons, and you learn how to walk with them in that, and you become better for it. And so I want you to really think of that. I would change a lot, man. Monty, thanks for asking the question. I would go back and change a lot, but I don't live in regret, because a lot of all those failures, when we talk about learning from failure, learning from obstacles, that has made me who I am today. Now, would I wish that I would have become the leader I am today without the failures of part of me says, yeah, of course, but we're not perfect. We're not perfect. And so we are a product of the wins and the failures that we experience in life. And so I would change a lot of things, and I can't go back and change how I've dealt certain situations, how I problem solved. And sometimes problem solving a project or something, a person's connected to that. And so how we've dealt with people are part of that. And so I would change a lot, but one way that I know that I can be better today is make sure I don't repeat those mistakes. So that is one thing that we need to do, is learn from that, and let's not get caught up in repeating the same mistake over and over and over. Let's figure out ways to learn from that. And so that adds to our wisdom and our insight to be able to attack future problems. And so it just I know that there's a lot of things that have taken place, but the reason I continue to grow is because I do, like I said, I do believe people matter. And so if I believe that people matter, I realize that leadership is an opportunity to encourage and impact people. And so if I know that, then I will help people that are positive or negative, and it comes with the job. We don't just work with positive people. There is going to be negative people, and remember that we've been that negative individual at times too. And there's other people that have had to deal with us in growth. And so it's about maturing in this process. And so um, um, part of the maturing, though, is realizing that you have made mistakes, realize that there were obstacles, and how are you handling that presently, and then making sure that you're not repeating that in the future. And so, great question, Monty, and I appreciate you asking that of me, because it made me reflect, and which is something I practice often, but it allows me to really continue to you know, seek in deep and making sure that I'm not repeating some of those mistakes. Okay, we have one other question here that I wanted to share, and that came from Jameson Galloway. Jameson's actually been on the podcast before. He's a young leader that is doing some amazing things with his nonprofit organization. He's going down to Belize, and he's impacting kids and people with needs down there. And so, check that episode out if you haven't, and check what he's doing. But he had a question for me as well, and it was this: how and what do you think about the future of the Leader Co? Are there some goals you have, and what are some goals that you have achieved? Was it hard to make the jump and start your business? What are some of the biggest challenges you faced? What advice would you give to someone looking to make the jump? Great, great question. The Leader Co. Is I believe there's so much potential. I think there's so much need. I think we're living in a season, we're living in a time where leadership is needed. I think we have leaders, but we don't have leaders leading well. And that's hence why I keep bringing that up, is because I think we have leadership in all capacities. I'm not just talking about government, corporations. I'm talking about sports teams, family units, talking about different things, even school. There's opportunities to lead well on all levels. And so I think when it comes to where we're going with the Leader Co, I see it to be a bright future. It's going to be a challenging one in some aspects, but we want to continue to innovate. We want to create, and we want to bring things into light, and bring a value to all of you, so then you can have the tools to do that well in your arenas. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of the Leader Co. And um, we've have accomplished we have accomplished some goals that we had. This podcast is an example of us having a goal and bringing it to life. I've in a month here or so, I will be I will celebrate a year of podcasting. That's huge for us, because we said we wanted to do it. It was something we wanted to do for years. And so here we are. We're gonna continue doing it, and we're gonna improve on it. You see, if I would have never started the podcast, how do I know how I'm gonna grow and how I'm gonna improve on my communication skills, on the guests that I bring on? Sometimes you do that by starting. And so we put a handful of events that are for connecting, for adding value to leaders, where we bring speakers and panels. And that's been new to us, but at the same time, we've done some amazing work in that. And so we're excited to also improving that. And so we've accomplished some big goals, but we have even bigger goals. We want to be able to maybe kind of look at what it looks like to putting on a retreat for many of you leaders. We're focusing on specific industries. What does coaching look like for all of you, so we can give you more value, that we can bring in more wisdom, and people that have experience in different industries. We're always working at the Leader Co, and we're excited that I think we haven't. We're just getting started, is what I'm trying to say. We have a lot of more things in the future that we want to present to you, and I'm excited on how we can add value to you and make you better. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, because we talk about the Leader Co having goals, but the Leader Co is connected to my personal goals as well, because I get to be one that gets to bring leadership to this company. And so I strongly believe in, all of you have heard me say this before, that the level of your leadership is going to determine the level of whatever you're leading of your business. So I get to potentially be the cap of the Leader Co, or the one that opens up the lid and makes sure that there is no lid, and lifts the lid and makes sure that we reach and go into the future with opportunity, and just and kick butt. And so we go back to me making sure that I am personally growing and developing and adding value to those who are working with us, and that we're collaborating and we're impacting at the capacity we want to impact. And so it's incredible how we're all connected. But as leaders, it's important to invest in ourselves, so then everything we touch and everything we do then also grows. And so that's how I see the Leader Co continuing to develop and evolve, because I continue to develop and evolve. And so I don't ever want to be the cap for the organization. One of the biggest fears that I probably had, maybe, or that was hard, I guess, when we started this business, is the fear of the unknown, or the fear that I didn't know everything. And the fact is that I'm never going to know everything. And so, but we sometimes let that define us, and we let us freeze us in time, and paralyze us in time, because we think that, well, I have to have everything figured out, or I'm never going to be able to start. Not at all. I'm a great example of that. I've learned to eliminate excuses. Excuses can be a hard thing. because we can come up with them all day, all night long. And so if we can learn how to eliminate excuses and find reasons why we want to do something, man, it will transform your life. It will change you completely. So one of the biggest challenges that I have faced is me. I've had to get out of my way. I've had to make sure that I battle these mind games and that I don't let failure take me out, that I don't let my past take me out, that I don't let present or future failures take me out, that I learn and I continue to grow. Yeah, you know what? There might be challenges in the market, there might be challenges in the economy, but at the end of the day, those are not fatal. They're not ones to determine the end goal. There's speed bumps along the way. And so if I can learn how to navigate those, if I learn how to remove myself from that and say, okay, that means I just got to go learn a bit more in this industry. That means I gotta surround myself with people that do understand that, and and continue to grow myself in that. That's going to be the biggest change. That's going to be the game changer. So so don't get stuck in this idea that I don't need to grow or that I know better. I have practiced and continue to practice that I don't know better, and I'm going to continue to to learn, and I'm going to continue to adapt and not be stuck in my ways. So, a piece of advice that I would give to somebody that wants to make the jump, which is a great question, Jameson, is be a risk taker. You're taking risks all the time. See, if you wanted to start a new business, or if you wanted to start a nonprofit organization or whatever it is, there's always risk involved because you don't know what the future holds. And so you don't know what's going to come around that corner. So you have to be willing to take some risk. And don't, there might be some calculated risk that you can take, and that's wise and that's okay. But there's also an element that you've got to step out into faith and go, okay, I want to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. I'm not going to fake it until I make it, but I am going to learn along the way, and I'm going to take what I have learned from others and from my experiences, and I'm going to apply it now and tweak it along the way. So take a risk. Do not wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time will not come. I assure you. You will come up with excuses why you should never start, and allow action to be the thing that teaches you and the action that will propel you forward to say, oh, this is how I get to do things. And so, this is a couple of thoughts too that I'll share with this. If you're going to be a risk taker, be a dreamer. Be a dreamer and don't let that die. Turn that dream and make that into goals and make a plan out of it and work the plan. You got to make a plan, strategize, get that map so you know where you're going, and you're not just walking, carelessly and endlessly into the desert or into the darkness. Put in the work. Allow yourself to put in the work and allow yourself to fail a little bit. Allow yourself to learn from all that. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. You're not going to be able to know everything about everything. And so make sure you commit yourself to connecting and networking with people that are smarter than you, so that they can make you better and they can show you, learn from other people's mistakes, man. You don't have to go make all the mistakes. That's the beauty of that too. There's many people out there that want to coach and mentor you and that want to give you the wisdom that they have experienced. So allow people into your life. And again, I just want to say that do not wait for the perfect time. Do not wait for the perfect time, because you have a dream. You have a God given vision and a dream, and some others may not see that. But in that dream and in that vision, allow yourself to learn and allow yourself to have counsel around you that will say, hey, this has been done before, but maybe you want to do it this way, or avoid this. And don't just go in carelessly into the future. Allow yourself to own that, own the dream, own the vision, and then just go forward and allow yourself to learn along the way. All right. I think that's all the time we have for today. I hope that this adds value to you. Thank you, gentlemen, for shooting those questions my way. I hope that those answers your questions, and I hope it made you better, and I hope it makes you and allows you to lead well. And thank you for all of you for tuning in today. Please share this episode. If you found value, comment on it, please. It means a lot to me and a lot to our team if you do that, because we want to continue to help all of you and others out there, because it's a win-win when the leader leads well. You're going to win, they're going to win, and we're all just going to be able to make our world a better place.